it's still going to be quite good. It also got its experience to level nerfed. It takes like, what is it, 1,500 to level at level 1.
Maybe 1,300? It's a lot. It's up there for its cost in the game.
Yeah.
And here we are. Speaking of the game, we have Farseer, Sledgehammer, Arclight picked from Flower Fairy. Very, very solid defensive pack.
One of the best possible packs, yeah. And it is Sabertooth Specialist, perhaps picked because you're favoring the Hound Ball from Shark Hunter, but I'm pretty happy to be seeing this across from me if I'm Flower Fairy. Because the sledges are a very good unit at slowing down a ball push and also slowing down hounds. And the Arclights are one of the best units for killing hounds and balls once you click that charge shot tech, which did also get nerfed, but still very much a good tech into these units.
Indeed. And Shark Hunter deciding to put the crawlers directly behind the steel balls.
Yep,
The
where they can
benefit
be
of this
safe.
is that you allow the Arclights and Sledgehammers to lock onto steel balls while the crawlers come in and are relatively safe for a little while. The downside is that Arclights can splash onto the crawlers while they're hitting those steel balls, same with the Sledgehammers, so you will lose some crawlers in the process.
Yeah. Yeah, any crawlers that get too eager will run through that splash. But here we see the effect, crawlers getting in and dealing some damage. And the hounds are nicely safe behind the balls, able to chaff clear for them. A very good pairing. Hound also has a move speed that lets them keep up with balls well. Better than Arclight does. Obviously not quite as well as Mustang. But once you click Mech Rage, it tends to not be a problem at all.
True. Round 1, it's very difficult to beat a one-sided ball push,
Yeah.
but
Ooh, and
Sledgehammer Arclight has a lot of HP.
here is the Underground. Again, we see one of these summon spells on round 2. Somewhat contentious balance-wise. This is a very, very powerful move. Often favoring the player who has tempo, but then also, again, often favoring the defensive player because the aggro player just will have to spend a lot of this turn playing around it. So they both take it, and it will be just mutually in the back. Oh, unless. Yes.
Oh,
So it's a fortification on one side. Yeah, no, we're thinking more. We have 54 seconds to line this. Oh, no, maybe we're pushing the side. I think this Arclight that is perfectly positioned against it is new. So that is how Flower Fairy decides to play around it. That Arclight going to be pretty happy to be there all game anyways.
Oh no, this new crawler though in the back for Shark Hunter will drag a lot of that underground towards the unfortified tower.
Yeah, interesting.
Maybe causing him to lose the tower faster than he would have otherwise.
Yeah, only 4 crawlers going to the fortified tower. But before the tower going down, balls are at least getting in and taking out some of the sledges. And hounds are pretty fine into arcs until charge shot is clicked. But tower goes down, allowing that side arc. That thing is popping off this turn. 47 kills the turn it is deployed.
Yeah. Soloed that entire underground.
Yeah. Most of the way towards the level. I also recently learned that a hound with attack enhance will beat an entire underground threat if they don't have defense enhance.
Wow. Yeah.
Like,
For
if
those
it's
who don't
positioned
know,
correctly.
there is a breakpoint there. Hounds do not one-shot crawlers of equal level unless you have the attack enhancement advantage.
Yeah, they're also like a very effective unit against an enemy with cross control.
You're mentioning those charge shot archites. We're seeing a couple charge shot archites on the board here.
Here they come. Flower Fairy is not messing around. sees that this side is going to get flanked a lot, and sometimes when people start these hound flanks, they will actually just fill the flank up because it is all just 100 cost units, like hounds and crawlers. So Flower Fairy just says, nah, I'm going to put all the arcs here. And I think this is how you played charge shot arc defense. You just spam them as hard as you can. And then
At
later
least
go
in the
air.
early game, yeah.
Yeah.
Then
But
you can
Shark
have
Hunter,
Mustangs, air units.
yeah. Mustang's very efficient pairing with charge shot arcs. 2 units you used, like, conventional wisdom would have had you not pair those 2 units, but now it's quite common. Shark Hunter, of course, choosing this round to be the Phoenix round, looking to be an excellent choice against the Arclight commit. The Phoenixes will get to win this round.
And the Saber, newly deployed, will tank some charge shot arclights. Oh, not for very long.
Yeah, it dies pretty quick because
Deleted.
during spawn in you don't have your full health. So it goes down to just a few shots. And Flower Fairy has already clicked health up just in preparation for that breakpoint before Shark Hunter even clicks attack up. So hounds are never going to get that nice breakpoint in this game. So they will need levels.
With this round 3 charge shot, we may need to see a transition from Shark Hunter. All of his units on the ground are very vulnerable to the charge shot arclights.
Well, here are some offerings. They both like the wasps. It is a 3-wide deploy, which to an extent kind of negates some of the value of the Phoenix. Like, once the air battle goes to wasp, Phoenix tends to be kind of a lesser character in that battle.
It can also be scary taking 3 wasps when you already have 2 phoenixes. Your opponent might start thinking, okay, my opponent has 5 air units. Surely I can take Fortress anti-air and get into Fortresses from there.
And it's Flower Fairy, who is like the biggest Fortress anti-air enjoyer in the game. He will see 2 undecked Phoenixes and click that button, so it is a danger. Flower Fairy, of course, also the Farseer spec, getting that Farseer now, slapping the haste module on it from, I don't even remember what, was he just floating it? He doesn't have the sell button, so I guess he was.
Yeah, I believe so. And that'll be very effective against the wasps as well.
Yeah. But interestingly, it is hackers from Shark Hunter. Hackers are pretty good against Arclights, especially if they're spammed, and they're good at dealing with the sledge, so it makes sense. But usually a unit you see on defense or standard, not as much from the aggro player.
What worries me is that it feels like Fire Fairy is very far ahead on the chaff war, and hackers need to be at least even on the chaff war to do anything usually.
Yeah, again, this is like a the hound player. Hounds just have to snowball. If the hounds snowball and you get like range mech rage, they will clear the chaff very efficiently, and the hackers will get their chance to do their thing. But if you're not snowballing at all and you're just sort of, your opponent has shut down the snowball potential completely by going charge shot arc, so you're not going to clear chaff with those hounds.
Oh my goodness, did I see a super supply?
Yeah, both, actually, Flower Fairy takes it. Round 5 super supply, slightly less popular than round 4.
Indeed, but it's Fire Fairy.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to think about the super supply.
A true econ enjoyer. And Flower Fairy is up-tempo, and a lot of players, when they're up-tempo, they'll say, oh, I will skip this super supply, I will start loaning, I will end the game. Flower Fairy will almost always opt to convert tempo back into value and back into trying to win the late game board.
Yeah, absolutely a solid way to play the game. Very risk-free, especially in games where you feel like you have a winning position.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the Flower Fairy will, of course, take the super valuable, like, high-tempo spells, but will very often choose the econ, the value, in order to have that long game. And it's 3 Mustangs from Flower Fairy.
We were talking about the Mustang Charge Shot Arclight combo. Here it is. They
Yep.
work out very well together.
Yeah, so it's a very chaffy board. Again, you were mentioning like winning the chaff war important against hackers. Mustangs are just another piece of chaff. So Flower Fairy with the super supply still winning the round very hard. It's this is a very, very difficult position to come back from if you are Shark Hunter.
It is. It
Because
feels like you have so many problems to solve.
yeah, and the units you're playing are units that need to be like winning rounds, getting levels, and snowballing.
Exactly. Finally get some hound levels, but still only 3 hounds.
Yeah. 3 hounds and no other chapter to speak of.
Yeah, unless you count the wasps, which you
Yeah.
probably shouldn't.
You probably don't count the wasps. And the Flower Fairy feels very strongly that Mustang is amazing in this position. Just adding more and more. Not even teching them.
Yeah,
Just
no
like
range.
these are good chaff against you, and they will support my Charge Shot Arclight's ability to prosper.
I believe Mustang is one of the best units in the game against Hacker,
Yeah.
because the Hacker, without something like the multi-beam hack, needs to hack them one at a time, and then if one gets hacked, it gets killed by the fellow Mustangs almost instantly. So there's very little disruption.
Yeah, units with a fast turn rate and a fast fire rate are inherently better against Hacker because of their ability to deal with hacked units. So, like, Fang and Mustang and Crawler all do very well into it.
Well, we will see if adding Mustangs was enough for Shark Hunter to clear the chaff and let the hackers connect onto Arclights. But it's not looking
Yeah,
great.
it's looking rough. The Wasps are still up, the Mustangs are still up. There's a Farseer back there. And the other side, there's just a giant Mustang army.
And that will be
And,
game 1 of the best of 3.
They had dominant performance, I would say.
I agree.
Flower Fairy.
The hounds just never got off the ground. The balls got shut down instantly by charge shot arclights, and then the
Yeah.
hackers never hacked anything that wasn't chaff.
Yeah, I've been sort of noticing that my best Hound games are not ones where they were in my starting pack, but they are ones where I looked at the round 1 board and said, Hounds are good here, and bought Hounds. Because, like, if they're in your starting pack, you run the risk of running into this, like, Sledge Arc board and just getting destroyed. And it seems like Shark Hunter may be favoring Hounds a lot right now, and Flower Fairy perhaps aware of that, choosing a pack that will dominate them. But that was
It
maybe
could,
also just the best pack.
could definitely be that these players are familiar with each other's playstyle, and also maybe looked at Shark Hunter's first game where he
Mm-hmm.
picked hounds.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hounds have not been looking very good today, but there's still time.
Yeah. Yeah, Hounds, like, when Hounds look good, they look amazing, but when they look bad, they look terrible.
Yeah.
It's rare to see Hounds just, like, do all right. I mean, I've seen it a few times, but they're usually a pretty minor part of the board in that case.
Then often they just get sold eventually. Like, okay, I
Yeah.
have a Vulcan, I don't need the hounds anymore. Or my opponent has a Vulcan, let's get out of these hounds.
Yeah, one thing I haven't seen enough of is Vulcan defense against Hound pushes, because it seems like it should just totally destroy them.
There is the armor detail. Armor, if your hounds get a nice level
Yeah.
advantage, can definitely negate the Vulcans.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, for sure.
like Dilla showed, you can get Vulcans stuck on big beefy units like Rhinos sometimes.
Hmm. Yeah, I think the Vulcan has to come out quite soon. Like you maybe even have to make sacrifices, but if you get it out and get Scorch on it early, that's always such a difficult prospect pushing into that.
For sure. Oh boy. And now we're entering game 2. Shark Hunter versus Flower Fairy. If
Yep,
Shark
and
Hunter loses this game, he is out of the tournament.
if Shark Hunter wins, I think does that mean he picks up like a bounty of 1 from Flower Fairy?
I believe so. So Flower Fairy won the last game, has a win streak of 1, and so has a $10 bounty on his head that Shark Hunter could claim.
Yeah. But if not, then Flower Fairy will build it up to 2 before going to face off with Dillo.
Indeed. Now we will see. Does Shark Hunter stick with the Hound packs that have not been successful today? Or
Yeah.
will he decide to switch it up, try a new strategy against Flower Fairy's hurdle defense?
Yeah, I want to see it work because if we're gonna see someone in this group make it work, it will be Shark Hunter. Uh, I mean, there's always a chance that anyone could get offered only Hound packs and be forced to play them on defense.
That is possible. Yeah, you can get 4 Hound packs. In fact, I think every single 200 cost unit has a Hound pack.
Yeah. Does Tarantula Hound? I don't think
Oh,
exists.
maybe it doesn't. Maybe not Tarantula Hound. You're right.
But yeah, there are quite a few Hound packs similar to Crawler.
And here we
And
go.
we do see a couple more nice Hound options for Shark Hunter.
Indeed. It's got to be tempted by those 2 hounds there. They've got so much HP.
Could see maybe Fortified or Amplify from Flower Fairy here, or perhaps the Saber if he still believes in it, but it didn't really look good last time we saw it.
Yeah, Fire Fairy does really enjoy the Sledgehammer packs,
No.
but goes for
Yeah, it does take the
Tarantula.
Saber. Interesting. I guess maybe just favoring Tarantula that much. They both go for the Tarantula, actually.
Oh, and it's kind of
It's
a mid-range headbutt here.
Yeah, and it is the showdown of the modified specialists. So it'll be hard to evaluate if these specialists are now bad or good because, it's a sort of an even matchup. Although personally, I'm favoring the new Fire Badger specialist a little bit more, especially on defense. That extra 10 range can be quite nice.
Fire Badger is just such a amazing early game unit. And I think round 3 is not too late to get a Fire Badger, and the 10 range is probably often gonna do something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like the range spec card or the advanced targeting system is a good card, even if you have to pay 450 for it.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally getting 10 range can be a disadvantage. Maybe it doesn't like stay in front of charge shot phoenixes or something. I don't remember
Yeah.
all the breakpoints, but it
Yeah, it
could
goes up to
sometimes be a
110.
disadvantage.
It goes up to 110 with range, and there are some units that will mess with, like a charge shot phoenix is. Well, I think charge shot phoenix would be in front of it either way. It's like 95.
The aggro working out very well for Shark Hunter here. We've got 2 marksmen stuck on fangs.
Yeah.
And usually this matchup on round 1 is very good for the player with the marksman since they can kill the tarantulas, but this was relatively okay for Shark Hunter there, only losing by 400.
Yeah, still pretty solid showing for Flower Fairy and pretty relatively easy problems to fix. Wasps
Wow.
on round 2, I wonder, like, we've been seeing them picked a lot. This feels like a spot where they might not be. It
They're up
is,
against a few options. Like Phantom Ray can duel wasps, so if both players want to
yeah,
go for the weak tower plan, the Phantom Ray might be a little bit better than the wasps in that regard.
yeah. But Typhoon can sort of deal with the air units pretty well as well. Looks like it will be the Wasp for Shark Hunter, again making the move on the other tower. A Crawler, a
Indeed.
Wasp, a Missile. And
That
Flower
said,
Fairy just taking the Scorp.
I'm not sure that gets tower quickly enough. There might be a lot of dead units on Shark Hunter's left side by the time the tower gets taken.
Yeah. And it is Phoenix once again from Shark Hunter, even despite Marksman being here, just wants it for the damage. It's not here to get an air win, but the insta-lock on the Tarantula is quite nice.
Worth noting that the missile is not able to hit the fangs, but it looks like the tower does come out quickly enough,
Yeah.
and this should be Shark Hunter's round pretty easily.
Yeah, the Wasps are quite efficient here if needed, but looks like they won't even have to get involved. Yeah, that Fang positioning that Flower Fairy is using is a very stable way to at least slow down almost any push into the tower. It's just
What a
forward
hero,
enough to...
that Scorpion saves so much damage.
yeah, killing the Tarantulas. And here's the Fire Badger. Nano
the
repaired
Saber.
it. Yeah, the Fire Badger's in the Saber. Nano for Flower Fairy. Gonna go on one of those big units.
Yeah, lots of beefy units on that side, including the new Saber.
Yeah, nothing has leveled yet, so the decision not just being made for you by the levels.
Sometimes the Nano helps you level as well.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we have a shield device specialist. Advanced
wow.
shield device, making these purchased 100 cost shield bubbles much tankier. A little bit of a gamble. If you lose that shield, it is economy down the drain.
Yeah, it's placed where the Scorpion is not, which makes sense, but unfortunately, it's placed where the Sabertooth is, and Saber, a good shield popper. And it looks like it will, if the aggro goes as shown, it will immediately lock onto that shield. And the unit it will be targeting in the shield is the Tarantula, which means it will not relinquish its lock on the shield until the Tarantula leaves or the shield dies.
Marksman also will be contributing DPS.
Yeah.
I don't think the Phoenix will be able to deal with all those units quickly enough to save the shield. But the tower might swing things on the other side.
Yeah. Nano is on this weak side Tarantula, perhaps hoping that it wins the weak side, living with some health, and then it gets to Nano on up, but looks like that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, I kind of saw it as tanking for these fangs to hope that the fangs can deal with the wasps, but that didn't really end up happening. That said, still stalled the tower long enough that the other side is completely dead, including the shield.
Yeah, shield went down quite quickly. Now, is there a world where these marksmen get scammed by these last couple of wasps?
There is a world. Oh,
not
so
quite
close.
the debuff. Wow. That would have been a lot of health for those wasps to chew through, though. And we see Barrier, Rhino Assault, Electromagnetic Blast, and Elite Crawler. Barrier, an interesting item. It could be quite good in this scenario. You have to deploy a giant for it, but super good value card. So no surprise seeing Flower Fairy pick it up.
And Fire Fairy does have another good giant item in the Nano Repair Kit if he wants to transfer that later in the game.
Yeah, I'm curious what giant it will be here.
If you're Shark Hunter, you have to be very worried about the Rhino drop as well. You've got a little bit of defensive missile and Fang going on, but...
Yeah, we see a missile, a Fang, but a Rhino dropped in the back, but biased towards that left tower is getting it for absolutely free right now.
Still,
Shark Hunter might just have to gamble.
Decide to instead go for the giant item.
Yeah. but both respecting the fact that it could be the Rhino drop from the opponent.
Indeed. Shark Hunter saying, you know, I'm not that committed to your weak side tower. I'm just gonna try and focus on the main engagement more.
Yep. Just going to abandon it, jump drive over to steal this tower. Of course, Rhino drop was shown, so you very much expect this missile, so the crawler is in front to protect from it.
Oh no, look at that saber lock on the tarantula instantly.
Yeah, brutal. So the Saber actually been doing some work, whereas the Fire Badger is just already gone from the board.
And the tarantulas are dead before the chaff is cleared. And then this debuff might not accomplish as much as Shark Hunter would like it to.
Yeah, Wasps are getting in from behind and can therefore take out a few of the marksmen, which are the main thing that can kill them.
And the
But
second tower is about to go down.
yeah,
Both towers, in fact.
the remaining marksmen and a few things will slowly take down the Wasps and the Phoenix one at a time. And again, a big round, 1,100 something damage, because all of these tarantulas are just living and living and living.
And Shark Hunter on Death's Door already. Round 5.
We see some high value cards. Flower Fairy actually, it's not enhancement module and it's not efficient light. It is Elite Mustang.
True.
A very powerful option.
Not necessarily a conventional economy option, and it kind of says I'm not going to use this giant item for another turn.
Yeah.
But it definitely is a very powerful thing to have level 3 Mustangs. And these level 2 Wasps are not going to be very useful in the face of that.
Yeah, when you have a stable board, Elite Mustang is just an incredible card. Like, you have all of these kind of beefy units that they can hide behind. These tarantulas are not dying like round after round after round, so that means these Mustangs should be completely safe if it plays out as it has been.
On the other hand, Shark Hunter says, okay, I am going to use my giant item. I'm a little worried not addressing the basically insta-lock that the Saber got on the Tarantula last round.
Yeah, the
Maybe
arrow...
okay with sacrificing it now that it has splash and can clear the small amount of chaff more efficiently.
Yeah, the arrow says it won't happen again. Oh, I see, but this chaff gets cleared so fast. Oh, it did lock chaff, I think.
Yeah,
but one of the marksmen did. Yeah.
That's much better for Shark Hunter here.
So Shark Hunter, with the melters, able to kill the big tanks and splash on the tarantulas, giving him a good ability to clear chaff. But there are some very big Mustangs.
This time the weak side is fortified, not going to have a huge problem there. Should be able to win the round, actually. That might be a big turnaround. Maybe not. These Mustangs are scary. Okay, not quite.
Mustang's quite strong. And a Mustang is a very good, like, final unit to be alive on your board when your opponent's final unit is Melter, because it's just a good matchup.
Indeed.
And we see Flower Fairy snap picking the Sandworm.
Oh boy.
Despite the Melter, it's not a cell because it's not an efficient cell option compared to the Raiden, so Sandworm will be played.
Perhaps for the weak side, take that tower a little bit faster.
Yeah, and it's actually, well, it is the only unit here capable of holding the barrier, so perhaps that motivated the choice.
Oh,
it's a little
that's
bit
a good point.
Awkward of a barrier holder because it just kind of runs the barrier into the enemy team and often loses it.
And we see the Phantom Rays picked by Shark Hunter, which I imagine the only reason you would pick that is to take armor on them.
Yeah. The Mustangs do 111, which means level 2 Phantom Ray armor does defend it, but only for a turn because they can just click anti-air aerial specialization on the next turn and cleanly answer it.
Shark Hunter was thinking about an insta-lock with this new melting point, but oh, okay, it's moving a lot.
Yeah. somewhat finicky with the positioning. Flower Fairy has placed the 4 Mustangs that you like to have. This Melter is going to be nicely placed, and it is allowed to shoot the barrier and develop its beam. It's a weird mechanic, but it sees the barrier as hostile, and it's allowed to like think about the killing the sandworm even if the sandworm is burrowed. So it can lock the barrier sandworm, and then the sandworm unburrowed in time for the beam to just continue. So part of why barrier is bad on sandworm.
Yeah, very awkward item for sandworm. You'd like it on any other ground giant other than sandworm usually. But
So
sandworm is what was offered. Maybe it gets sold because that was too awkward.
yeah, like that play would have looked great if there wasn't a Melter there. It would have taken tower and potentially won the game, but there was a Melter there.
Wow, Flower Fairy actually insta-picks the Orbital. Orbital, even though there aren't very many small units to kill with it here, it's still very effective at clearing out chaff quickly and letting
Yeah.
your other key units do their job.
And it's like decent DPS into mid-size units. I guess they're like tarantulas are kind of big.
True.
So it's just going to be a different beacon from the sandworm, hoping to perhaps not have it play out quite the same by getting in deep. And the Mustangs, as expected, take anti-air, which will just be pure value against the Phantom Rays, because they were
Indeed.
already almost exactly up to the armor damage. But these Mustangs are like somewhat scarily not in this bubble at the start of the round. So if the RNG is cruel, some of these Mustangs could go down very fast.
That's true. The ones in the back are dealing with the crawlers for a few seconds, and the other ones are just not running into any bubbles. At least 4 of them are running into a bubble.
Yeah.
And see both players loaning. Both players think that the game may be over right now. Especially on a spell turn.
Curious to see. So actually the Sandworm bubble actually doing well this time. It locks up the Tarantula. Tarantula effectively shooting at nothing.
Indeed. Melter also shooting at chaff, unfortunately. Actually, no Tarantula on the right side, really, for Shark Hunter.
But this time the Sandworm, because it is not unburrowed at the time its barrier goes down, the units just unlock from it.
Yeah, and then the tower timing is going to be awful. That Sandworm might have a field day.
And then the Sandworm takes the other tower.
Oh,
and then it goes to the Melter. And that's going to be game. So a nice beacon to recover that very sad-looking Sandworm into a strong showing in the final round.
Indeed. And no godlike orbital RNG to kill every single Mustang on the left side.
Yeah,
for
true.
Shark Hunter.
And the anti-air on the Mustang effectively dealing with the Phantom Rays. They did very little in that final round while the Mustangs were putting out top damage.
Round, the Phantom Ray plus Wasp combo was clearing all that chaff on that side. It had so much time to do it. This round there was nothing to clear the chaff on the right side.
So Flower Fairy gets to go through with a bounty of 2 on the head in order to face Dillo in the final match of the night.